they get that cycle and they go off periodically. You know, I looked it up here on dictionary.com. It says, you know, from the Latin lunaris, of the moon with a capital L, moon goddess. So it's a woman, man. All right, moon goddess.
Go ahead, brother.
You want it? Well, yeah, anybody? Yeah, well, just to build on that furthermore, this is called the spirit of truth, man. That's how everything is flowing. See, we'll go from one topic to the next, and everything all adds up. It's all filtered through, and the truth comes out. See that?
And pretty much, I mean, what Elder Todd said, he's going to do the research. But when you look at it, like if you can even notice if like when it's a full moon, you see people driving crazy. You see all kind of like stuff out of the normal, man.
Hey, give me that mic, brother. Hey, I looked it up, right? This is National Geographic News, right? And this is dated February 6th, 2004. It says full moon effect on behavior minimal study says. It says beware, the moon is full tonight. People will party, dogs will bite, robbers will steal, murderers will kill. Okay, so you're affected by that's that lunatic. Okay?
You know what? Yeah. Now this is under what is a biblical new moon. All right. This is a site. It says, what exactly is a new moon according to the scriptures? The Jewish calendar creates some confusion because it uses conjunctions of the moon in setting the beginning of each month. Also somewhat confusing, a certain verse of scripture seems to equate the new moon with the full moon. Let's see. Let's first look at the astronomical conjunction. A lunar conjunction is when the sun and the moon and earth are directly in line. I want to go to the point here. I don't want to read too much. Here we go. The Bible uses the same Hebrew word for both new moon and month. Therefore, the new moon is linked to and sets the beginning of the month. All right. Now, again, this is what when you read, you brothers, you got to go to this site. When you read this site, you got to read it with understanding. All right. And that's why we're set up to help guide you. Okay. Again, let me read that. It says the Bible uses the same Hebrew word for both new moon and month. Therefore, the new moon is linked to and sets the beginning of the month, which is the first day of the month. Now, I know back in the history we had new moon watches. You had something called a watch because people didn't walk around with omegas on their arms, all right, or on their wrists, or Movado, all right, Movado watches. You had a certain individual, his job was to watch, all right, and they would watch for the moon. They would watch for the silver lining on the outside of the moon. When the silver lining came in, they knew that was the first day of that month. That was the new moon. They were called new moon watches. All right. Now it says, therefore the new moon is linked to and sets the beginning of the month. But on our Gregorian wall calendars, the new moon or the no moon conjunction floats over all the 12 calendar months. Modern calendars completely ignore the biblical way of setting the first day of the month by the visual new moon. Even though the word month is derived from the word moon and should be oriented to the moon as it was intended by the Creator. All right? Is that how much more plainer can we make it for you? Now this is a random example, a random search that I did. Now I did a video on Mailbag, and I pretty much used this resource. What is a biblical new moon? But it hits home. It gives you the truth. All right.
Can I say this here?
Come.
Yeah, the guy making a statement that's down with Yohana that says we don't. What you mean by a new moon? Like you said, they don't know the scriptures, and Yohana's not leading them into the scriptures. All right.
Yeah.
Let me read this one scripture here. What is this? Just want to make sure I'm at the right scripture.
Mm-hmm. And after you're done reading them, there's some more information.
Yeah, I believe that's Ezra. Yeah, that's got to be Ezra. 3 verse 5. It says, and afterward offered the continual burnt offering. All right, that's a solemn thing. Both of the new moons, which Baloo said that the new moon, you can cook things on the new moon. No, you can't cook things on the new moon.
Yeah.
All right? Because it says, and afterward offered the continual burnt offering, both of the new moons and of all the set feasts of the Lord that were consecrated. Look up the word consecrate. This is what Ezra 3 verse 5. And of everyone that willingly offered a free will offering unto Yahweh.
That's right. Yeah, Ezra 3 and 5. The Hebrew word there for consecrated is Quadash, which we know means holy. Quadash. All right, to consecrate, sanctify, purify. All right, prepare to be made pure. So if something is consecrated, it's made pure. All right. That's it. Any more, Elder Tar?
That's it on that.
Okay. Carrying on back into the reference I got. Historically, new moon spotters in Israel watch for the thin crescent to establish the beginning of each month. Now, this is historically. This is part of our history. All right? When you see the word historically, meaning part of our history. New moon spotters in Israel. Like I said, we didn't have Omega watches back then, all right? Or Movado watches. We didn't have that stuff. Or Hubble telescopes.
Or big face rollies.
Yeah, or Doppler radar. All right? Or eyewitness news, weather. With some cute chick with big knockers. You know, we didn't have that, all right? Giving you the weather. Anyway, historically, new moon spotters in Israel watch for the thin crescent to establish the beginning of each month. Once seen, they reported their sighting to the calendar court authorities of the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin back then, the main Sanhedrin, that was us. That was our people. All right? The Sanhedrin. Then the so-called white man took it over underneath Chagan Bullen when they became, quote-unquote, Jewish. All right? Note what one authority says. Originally, this is one authority, this is what he said. Originally, the new moon was not fixed by astronomical calculation, but was solemnly proclaimed, there's that word solemnly again, proclaimed after witnesses had testified to the reappearance of the crescent of the moon. Now, it says down here, it says the switchover from watching for the first visible crescent to calculating conjunctions to determine the month's beginning came with Hillel II calendar revisions in the 4th century CE, which is Christ era, I believe that means CE, which is actually AD. Now the 4th century, that would be around the 300s AD. That's when it changed. By the middle of the 4th century, the sages had established a permanent calendar, and the public proclamation of the new moon was discontinued.
That's where they went off. That's why these guys follow Friday sundown to Saturday sundown and this and that and the other. I got a scripture here, Ezekiel 46:1. Now the light-headed Israelites out there, the flaky Israelites out there, listen, this is when they're going to turn out. Like, come on, this shit is boring. Let me watch something else. Let me go watch Johanna. Let me go watch that hip-hop video again that Nate did, man. Because Jake has a short attention span. Now, I looked it up, the attention span of a normal person, And they said it's about, I believe it was about like 5-10 minutes.
Wow.
That's a damn shame, man. That's a damn shame. Well, most of the people in this system, in this society, is fucking retarded, man. Because we're trying to get to the essence. They're telling us, you guys don't understand this, and you're going off on that lunatic thing. You're a bunch of lunatics. But then we'll do a class to break it down. But they don't have the attention span. They have the attention span of a fucking yak, man. Hey, let me read this here.